what I mean is string. So if I accidentally call you string, it's, don't worry about it.
Well, I've got a daughter, Shauna.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So there's times when Tracy might yell across the house and then think it's, I thought we were at the end of that, but no, it's actually she's calling me.
Okay. We're really meant to yell at you.
Sure, we're good to go. Chairman,
Good to go?
yeah.
All right, so good evening, everybody. May 28th, 2024 today, end of May. Summer's fast approaching. We'll start things off with our land acknowledgement. On May 28th, 2024, we acknowledge that the sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who care for this land and water in order that we might be here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. So I'll call the meeting to order at 6:05. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Does everybody has a copy, correct? Yep. So could I have someone move to approve that, please? Courtney, thank you. Could I have someone second her? Heidi, thank you. All in favor? Motion carried. We'll move on. We have no minutes to adopt this evening. We'll defer that to the next meeting. So I'll ask for disclosures of monetary interest. Anyone have anything? Seeing none. Okay, so we will move on with our priority issues. And for those watching at home, you'll notice that we are in red this evening.
You saw some pause for a sec?
Yeah. I'll just wait so the movement isn't part of the picture. Different sort of situation. Okay. And Jeremy and I were thinking at the end we could maybe go down to the bandstand because I wasn't sure if it was raining and we want to wait, so we can get one maybe down at the bandstand as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Director Clark, for doing that picture for us. And we are, as I had mentioned, we are all in red tonight. Tomorrow is official Red Shirt Day to show solidarity for those with disabilities. However, we're meeting this evening and we wanted to promote that. So I understand that this picture that we have taken is going to be on the website just to sort of put that messaging out there. So I encourage everybody out there tomorrow, get your red shirt on and show your solidarity for people with disabilities. So we will, just to bring you up to date, a couple of organizations that I have been able to have come on board and participate in Red Shirt Day. The Smith Falls Hospital, and I believe Perside as well will be participating, and big thanks to Karen Kelly, who is the communications coordinator at the hospital, and she was instrumental in getting that going. So thanks, Karen. I
not sure, Jen is not with us this evening. In our last workshop style meeting, she had mentioned that she was going to try and circulate the poster for Red Shirt Day at the library. And so that would be another place that would be wonderful as well. I also did an interview with Kathy Botham on May 7th to promote Red Shirt Day and sort of to try and encourage businesses to jump aboard as well. The final place that I know about for sure that will be participating is St. Francis School. They will be wearing their red shirts tomorrow, so thank you to all those staff and students for doing that, and we really appreciate it. So thanks so much. I think that kind of wraps up general update. What I wanted to mention, many of you who would normally watch accessibility meetings will notice that there wasn't a recording in April. What happened in April, we did a workshop style meeting where we gathered at the arena and we sort of brainstormed some ideas for Red Shirt Day and coordinated that, as well as doing some social media brainstorming as well. So it was not a recorded meeting, but some great work was done there, and that's what has allowed this to go so well today. Just to bring everybody up to date on that. I think we'll move on to National Accessibility Week now, our next priority issue. Director Clark, I don't know if you had some things to add.
Just that actually, I wasn't sure actually if Mayor Panka was going to be here, so I know you've already read your proclamation, but did you want to speak to it? Just, you don't have to read it again, but if you don't want to, but.
Or can. Maybe I can show
Yeah,
it. Really,
sure.
rather than speaking, it really covers it all
Okay.
right here. So National Accessibility Week and Red Shirt Day, May 26th to June 3rd, 2024. Whereas throughout Canada and each year, the week starting on the last Sunday in May is to be known as National Accessibility Week, and is an opportunity to promote inclusion and accessibility in our communities and workplaces, to celebrate our progress, and to be inspired to further break down accessibility barriers. Whereas many Ontarians live with some form of disability, and as a result, there's a need for greater awareness, enhanced service delivery, and opportunities for persons with disabilities. Whereas individuals with disabilities are impacted daily by barriers to information, facilities, employment, transportation, and communication supports, therefore negatively challenging an individual's ability to fully participate in community life. Whereas accessibility and inclusion are essential for ensuring that all community members have equity and opportunities and ability to fully participate in community life. And whereas Council of the Corporation of Town of Smith Falls is committed to accessibility and has an accessibility advisory committee to play a pivotal role in helping the town of Smith Falls become a barrier-free community. And whereas Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls formed the Smith Falls for All Committee to advance the town's efforts to further develop a diverse and inclusive community that provides equity to all its citizens. Now therefore be resolved that I, Sean Panko, Mayor of the Town of Smith Falls, do hereby proclaim May 26th to June 3rd, 2024, National Accessibility Week, and come together to celebrate the valuable contributions and leadership of Canadians with disabilities. And the Red Shirt Day of Action for Accessibility and Inclusion, established by ECCUS Canada in 2019, takes place this year on Wednesday, March 29, 2024, and all citizens across Canada are encouraged to wear red to show the support and solidarity for persons and families of those with disabilities.
All right. you. Okay. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the other item that's under this agenda, or this agenda item, other, I guess, pressing issue, is that based on the conversations that occurred at the workshop, I brought together some of the like zygotes of words, the baby sort of social media conversations we had. There's tons of really good information that actually, actually I was giving you the gears, Corey, for saying that, but actually you guys wrote down. I was very impressed with the conversations that happened, and I think we were able to get some really good stuff down. So I've been working with Joanne Plantz, who is our our coordinator of communications. And every day this week, we'll be pushing out a new social media message. Tomorrow will be accompanied by the official red shirt poster and also our official red shirt photo. But comments like, celebrating Accessibility Week together, let's build an inclusive Smiths Falls for all. I think those kinds of comments. One thing that really came out of the discussions that you guys had at the last workshop was that it's not just about, it's more broad. It's about the inclusion for everyone. It's not just about meeting the needs of those people who have additional accessibility requirements. It's actually about making it inclusive for every single human being in this town. And so the messaging that we pulled together based on the comments is trying to reflect that. And so hashtags that we're using are hashtag Accessibility Week, Happy National Accessibility Week. So far, that's the only one I can see right now. If I read it better, it will probably be working better. But things like celebrating diversity and inclusion during hashtag Accessibility Week, that was a big theme that came through the conversations too. Was actually not just it was bigger than just being inclusive. It was celebrating the diversity, celebrating the differences of the differing abilities that people have, and the brilliance that we create through those differences within this community. And I thought that was really cool because, as you recall, we broke up into two different groups, and the theme from the two was the same. And so, and I know you're sitting less than a foot apart, so you can hear each other, but it was really cool how that sort of came together. So every day this week, Joanne will be pushing out something in terms of specific to Accessibility Week. But I think subject to what this committee would like, it might be worthwhile developing a bit more for an ongoing sort of just a reminder. It's not just about a week, it's about a lifetime. So let's continue to push those messages out. So I will send you around. We're still hammering out just the final pieces. So hopefully tomorrow Joanne and I can get that together and have a whole list for you. There was a few back and forth that we went on some of the images, but I'm hoping that we can send that around so everybody will kind of I know it's midweek, but get an advance notice for the last part of the week. But to that end, I think what I hope that you'll see is the conversations that we had last April reflected in the language that's being used. So that's the update on that. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Director Clark. Is there any questions or comments? Corey?
Just to clarify, we also said that we should use all social media. Is that happening now instead of just Facebook?
So if I may, I can confirm that I will ask. I think, yeah, so we do not have, I know we talked about all social media. I don't know that we have all platforms that have been enabled from the town's side of things. So we are using all web.
So like Instagram's being used now though?
As far as I am aware, yes.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that 100%, so I will not lie to you and tell you that I do know 100%, but I will follow up and let you know. As far as I understand, yes, we are using all the media platforms, social media platforms that we have available to us.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's a long-winded way of saying I'll check. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so I think that kind of wraps up things. Director Clark, is there anything else you would like to speak to in terms of the social media information, or does anyone else have anything that they would like to add to either topic?
So the only other thing is just the next item D is the social media campaign for the AODA. So similar to what I did for this particular, for the accessibility week, I took a lot of it was a bit more, not unwieldy, but the conversations were a bit more broad around the AODA. Because I think we recognize that we're not an enforcement agency, we're not a legislative body, we're not someone that can come in and use bylaws and tools and things to enforce people to become accessible. And realistically, based on the information that we received and we talked about, it's specific about renovations and new builds have to be entirely accessible to individuals, and those we're hoping that those that exist make accommodations. So recognizing that that doesn't necessarily mean action is required by a number of folks in this community or a number of businesses in this community. I think the conversation shifted based on the notes that you guys provided me. The conversation shifted very similarly to, instead of trying to be the heavy around the AODA is coming, let's make it, just be aware. It's more, do you know there's benefits to making sure you're inclusive? Hey, it's actually about having a beautiful, diverse, inclusive community. And so some of the language that that came out of that is similar to the Accessibility Week language. But the key that kept coming up in the notes was learn more, look into it, make sure you're aware, make sure you know what's coming down the pipe, make sure that as a business owner, as an individual, as somebody who works in a public sector or public facing role, make sure you know what your role is. And so I finished these actually earlier today. So I have 10 messages, 8 on one side of the page, 10 messages total, so I'll pass those around. I don't know that we need to discuss them tonight, but I think if everyone can take them away and you can wordsmith them and workshop them as much as you would like, and get back to me in the next week or so, if that works for you, Turbingly.
Yeah.
And then maybe Lucy and I can go and hammer them out, and then we'll start pushing these out as soon as Accessibility Week is out. Is there enough? Do you have one more? Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Then we'll make sure that we can start pushing those out in a more concentrated fashion. So we wanted to hold off until Accessibility Week was over, but also not lose any momentum and get some of that messaging out. So I think the key that I really read in the notes was, it's an ambiguous piece of legislation. It's a long time coming. There's been a lot of promises, not a lot of conversation, I think, about it lately. I would say in the last couple of years, potentially. And so we want to direct people to spaces where they can learn more. And that, of course, is the Government of Ontario website. And we can push them to there to hopefully help them, guide them to access their own information around it. So I would, these are just a presentation to get your thoughts. So if in the next week or so, if folks can get back, if it's not an idea we want to follow, let me know. We can redraft it. That's what I'm here for.
All right. Well, thank you for all that wonderful work, Director Clark. We'll certainly follow up on that. Thanks so much for doing that. That was a lot of work. I think that kind of wraps up our priority issues, and obviously we'll update Jen Brown, as well as Councillor McGuire has also sent his regrets for this evening, so we'll make sure that they're caught up as well on everything that we have discussed. So that wraps up our priority issues for tonight, I believe. Is there any questions or comments that anyone has thought of? Mayor Panko.
Yeah, sure. Just to give an update, last weekend I attended what was called the Big Forum in Ottawa. It was a 3-day conference with a real cross-section of people. BIG stands for Basic Income Guarantee. And so there was academics from a number of universities across the country. There was members of the Canadian Senate. There was MPs there. a lot of advocates from a variety, say, of not-for-profits and social service groups across the country who are committed to trying to make sure that at some point in time a basic income is in place for our country, as well as a large number of people who have lived experience living with disabilities, living with low income, and it was very fascinating experience. Our council passed a resolution about a month or so ago asking for the government to follow through and commit to creating the framework for basic income. We were the first municipality in Leonard County to do so, and we would call upon all of our partners in the area to also commit to a resolution identifying some of the challenges within their own communities. And so I attended this based on wanting to get a greater understanding of what's happening out there for the argument and some of the realities that are being faced by a lot of people. So we had people there who were part of the Ontario pilot that started in 2018 under the former Wynne government, and of course it was suddenly terminated by the Ford government not long after he came into power. And they talked about how there's always a certain amount of people who believe that if we just give people money, it's going to create laziness. People are just giving them a handout, they're not going to do the best thing with that, they're going to take advantage of that. And this growing amount of research and evidence from the pilot that really debunks that as a myth. And the reality is that those who were participants in the pilot, those that they were able to track, and what happened when the government terminated the pilot, all the records were gone. There was no access to the information. And so there were a number of people who were involved in the conversation who started going everywhere they could on different Facebook groups and community groups to try and find, we need to find these people who are part of this group so we get a better understanding. And they got about 300 people and they surveyed them. And virtually everybody had taken the opportunity to create a better future for themselves. Some were able to get a better job. Some were able to go back to school. Some were able to get permanent housing. All of them indicated that they were able to eat better and healthier. And all of them indicated that their mental health improved, largely as a result of that strain of that reduction in worry about what's going to happen next and the stress of having to live in such in low income. So it was a very, it was a great outcome. A couple of books have been written about the pilot now, and the growing evidence that this is direly needed for our country. And what's motivated me to largely be involved in conversations, what we experience here. And those who don't remember, in 2017, the province put out a call to communities who want to be part of the pilot. And I initially brought it to the council of the day, and it's utterly shocking when it was shut down. Why would we want to be part of that? Even though it would literally bring tens of millions of dollars into our community and help with a three-year pilot. Anyway, those who remember, there was a lot of public uproar, there was a community meeting, and in the end, council agreed to submit Smith Falls as a potential site for a basic income pilot. We weren't successful. 3 communities were chosen: Lindsay, Hamilton, and Thunder Bay. And so it was, those who were part of the pilot said it was an incredible experience, but also extremely difficult once it ended. Abruptly. One young woman said she had finished school, she had started a business, her car had that she got her through school, working 3 jobs and driving, had conked out. She said she had went and just got herself a newer car, was driving home from the dealership, and on the radio she hears the announcement that it's canceled after going and committing to a car payment, right? So it was an incredible experience, and I think of our own community and those who don't understand the demographics. We have nationally, about 25% of people live with disabilities. In Smith Falls, it's much higher. And in Smith Falls, we know that we have about 10% of our population who is really relying on ODSP as their primary source of income. Little bits and pieces come from GST and Trillium and all these other things. but really ODSP is a foundation, and in a province where it's about 2.5 to 3% of the population relying on that. So the impact is deeper on our community. And we also recognize that the ability to advance your life when you're limited to such a small amount, and with no opportunity to, or claw back if you go back and try to work in addition to that. Now the clawback is increased to $1,000. It was $250 before, which is a little bit of a positive. But nonetheless, and those who know more about this than I do would tell me. I mean, it's hard to focus on the long term when you're simply worried about what's happening today, what's going to happen tomorrow, how are you going to look after your basic needs. So I strongly believe that Smiths Falls should have been a pilot community, but we stand out as a community that could really benefit from a basic income. And the opportunity for people to actually envision a better future, the opportunity to take some time to perhaps go to school, do some retraining, work from home, things that you can do that maybe aren't even considered possible today in some situations, but to just have the ability to have healthy food, the ability to have a decent place to live, have a dignified home environment. And we also recognize that, and it was discussed also during the conference, the reality that if basic income was in place, the calls for service for our police would go down. The domestic violence situations would go down. The mental health challenges in our community would go down. The volume of people going to emerge would go down. Addiction issues would all go down. The work of a lot of different organizations and that support our community would go down if people simply had more income. So as I say, it was a great experience. The biggest question, of course, is how do we move this forward? And Senator Kim Haight, as an Ontario senator who has actually sponsored Bill S-223, I think it is. He's one of the in House of Commons as well. Leah Kazan, MP from Winnipeg, has put forward within Parliament. So there's two identical bills being moved forward, one in the Senate, one in the House, and they're at the second reading stage right now. And so a lot of the discussion on the last day, and she facilitated, was like, how do we get the attention of decision makers, and how do we get them to put this on the radar when we know that really it's that myth of it's going to be it's too expensive, it's going to be a waste of money. And a lot of growing evidence indicates that the solution of basic income is probably more cost effective than the cost of poverty. And everything in society needed to try and help people with, say, with deteriorated health because of lack of access to good food or medication or physiotherapy, all the things that may not be available if you're living with limited incomes. And I would say there was no silver bullet, unfortunately, because it was the thought that we need to do this. This argument's been going on for a while. I think it's more predominant today than it's been probably at any point in time in the future. And the worry that I think everybody there had, and certainly myself, is without significant change or without basic income, things will continue to get worse. We look at where the cost of living is today, where the cost of food today, the cost of housing today, and if incomes are limited and maybe a small increase from time to time, but if people have to move any time in the future from where they are today, where they've been for a while, the reality of getting into a home they can afford is probably slim to virtually none. And so what happens to our homeless population? So it's absolutely essential, and I don't know if there's a role this committee can play in this argument, but we need to find a way to continue to advance this and try to help those who don't understand. Because as Senator Pate said, most people in some high elected officials, MPs and senators, and generally come from a place of privilege, generally don't have a great understanding of the realities that are faced even in their own communities. They may drive by homeless encampments, they may see people who are living on the streets, but I'm not sure if we're taking time to sit and talk to them and understand the realities of what they're facing on a day-to-day basis. So just wanted to bring that up, and I don't know if I think there's a role maybe this committee can play in supporting that, because we know that obviously the impacts of disability that leaves more people than not living in a very low income situation.
Yeah, I totally do support doing something like that, being part of that, bringing that forward. It's certainly, people with disabilities are typically probably the ones that are going to be living in those situations, and that's not okay. And I think everybody should jump on a chance to try and avoid that, or try and lessen the effects of having a disability and being disadvantaged in some way or another. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to comment or
I have
question?
one question actually. When was the pilot and when did it end?
It started in, I don't sure the month, 2018, it was in place for about a year, ended in 2019.
So it was 2 years short then of the.
It was interesting. One of the women that spoke said that like her mental and physical health had been very poor before the pilot, and she said she was at her doctor's literally like all the time. And through the period of the pilot, all of a sudden things changed. The mental health improved, the physical health improved, because she appointed the doctors twice in that year. And then of course when it ends, you find yourself in despair again, and she ended her health ends up worsening again.
It's certainly a very difficult situation, and if something like that could be done to help those people, why not? Let's be part of that if we can do that. If everybody's in agreement, we could sort of put that on our agenda for the next few meetings, and we can just kind of keep that discussion going if everybody is supportive of that.
If I may, Madam Chair?
Yep.
So we see delegations with usually provincial ministers at municipal conferences. And while this is largely a federal issue, it doesn't mean a province can't go ahead and implement a basic income program. There's one that's been initiated but stalled in PEI. It hasn't launched, and there's a lot of work towards getting that, I think, going. But so we generally don't have an opportunity to have a delegation with a federal minister at a conference, but it doesn't mean we can't seek an audience with a federal minister in some situations, and also it doesn't mean we can't continue to hit the message to the provincial ministers responsible. So there's advocacies we can talk about. And I think the thing that is most important is the ability to articulate the realities and tell a story. And we did that in January. We spoke to the supposed to be the Minister of Health and being the parliamentary assistant regarding funding for the Mobile Crisis Response Team, and that is a division of Lanark County Mental Health who works with our police service and the OPP, because they've had annual grant funding for about 6 years now, 7 years. Limited funding, so they can only hire 2 people, which is basically Monday to Friday for all of Lanark County. And can't keep people on the job because it's annual grant. So there's all kinds of job opportunities out there for these specialists, so they haven't. So we advocated for an increase in funding and permanence of the funding. And I asked for a couple of stories to be able to tell the parliamentary assistant directly. And one that really resonated with me, and still I'll mention it here because it just speaks to how getting help can make a world of difference. And the situation was a young person that called 911, a child, and the police responded to the house. And why did you call 911? Well, I need to go to school. My mom's sick. Well, can you get your mom? Well, my mom's in bed. She doesn't really ever get out of bed, or very rarely get out of bed. house is a mess. The kids are missing school. The mother is in really deep depression and anxiety, and really hasn't left the house at once, and has her own struggles. She's not able to get groceries and all these other things. And so the police officer recognized that we should bring in a war crisis response worker, and did. And I don't know the timeline exactly, but the outcome anyway was this woman was able to get up. She got the help she needed. Get up, function. The house is clean. The kids are in school. She's actually going to the house and functioning and doing well in society. And I understand she's going back to school. And really because her kid called 911 and finally got some help. It was that gateway to getting help that otherwise was not available. So I think it's having that understanding which helps us advocate. I think that's where it becomes real. We can talk about the impact of different programs.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite a powerful story, and how that little young person was able to get help for her mother, his or her mother, without even just in a very basic way. I need to go to school, you know. But that is very inspiring, and I think we should work with that, and why not get some advocacy going for people with disabilities, and really make them aware that there is help out there, and make it accessible for them to get it. Very powerful. So thank you for sharing your experience there. That was very, very powerful. Does anyone else have any questions or comments further? No.
Corey had a question.
Corey did.
That other people might have a question also. Not to put you on the spot. You asked a good question earlier, and just wondering if you want to put it out in open, just in case anyone's watching that might have some question.
So tomorrow there's a
Sorry, thank you, Corey, for picking up what I was laying down. He's like, what? I don't know.
tomorrow there is a meeting for the Heritage District. So if anyone's interested in Heritage, they should attend. It is accessible to get into the Welcome Center. You just have to go in.
Thursday.
It's Thursday, not tomorrow. Thursday.
Today is Tuesday, you are correct. Yes.
So Thursday at 5, you can get in through Town Hall to get there. That's the accessible way to get in, and we'll make sure it's open.
All right. Well, thank you for that as well, and something to keep in mind for sure. I think that wraps up our priority issues for this evening. If everybody's comfortable to move on. Okay, so we will move on. We do not have any correspondence items, nor any in-camera issues. So perhaps now is a good time to discuss our next meeting date. So I'll turn things over to Director Clark to spearhead that.
So we've been sort of trying to keep to, except when I didn't know how to read a calendar and look at a the meeting bumped last week. Sorry about that. So we've been trying to keep to sort of the third week.
So
Does that still work for most people? The third week?
is that the 18th?
It's the 18th, and we've done Wednesday, we've done Tuesday. Jen can't seem to come to either sometimes, so we're lucky when she's here, which is great. But the 18th is Tuesday, and Wednesday is the 19th. So
I will say for the next June and July, Mile and I soccer is Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 7.
Wednesdays would maybe be better.
But I don't want
So 19th.
Wednesdays is better.
Okay.
And me.
Okay.
Mondays and Tuesdays aren't good normally.
So does Wednesday the 19th at 6 work?
6? Yeah.
6 till 7?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Wednesday the 19th, we'll have the April minutes to review. So obviously I was not, or sorry, not the April, the feels like 8 years ago now, March minutes. I wasn't at the March meeting as Jenny Davis was managing that one. So I'll have those minutes to review, and then we'll also have these ones to review and approve. So we'll get those out. I should hopefully have that done actually this time by the end of this week, as I'm almost done these minutes. So, okay.
Is it still 6 to 7 on Wednesday?
Does that work?
Yeah.
Lucy's quick with the German directives fly.
You might end our meeting too soon. Okay.
Like, okay, so I think we we're all good with that date. And of the 19th,
Okay.
6 to 7, so we'll see everybody then. So I think we can adjourn our proceedings for this evening, so could I have someone move to adjourn, please? Stephanie, thank you. And could I have someone second, please? Corey, thank you. All in favor? Motion carried, so we will see everyone next month. Thank you for your participation.
And if everyone is still available, we'll run down to the bandstand. Okay.
That's scary. Like,
Yeah.
Sort of
Oh, yeah.
do, but
I almost had a heart attack. It was almost the end of me. Oh, look.
Yeah, remove your microphone. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just over here.
Oh,
Maybe.
I'm not sure what's going on here.
It's. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
Are we off?
You said on like,
The
Are we
mic's,
off?
the mic's picking
I
it
hope
up.
so. I mean,
it's frustrating.
don't really.
And everyone wants to
Somebody
hear
will
it.
care.
I prefer not. It's like
He smacked that thing.
I would say, that's the official right now.
Heading down.
Is it all figured out?
it's all what.
Meeting?
What are you talking about?
It's a meeting? Is it done?
No.
No? Okay.
Oh, really?
Well, just pretend you didn't.
Oh, there, he's off.
Okay.
Well, that's still between.
Great job.
oh, thank you.
Where are you?
Thank you. The only thing I forgot to do is mention that Councilor McGuire sent regrets.
You got him.
But I did
Yeah,
mention it.
You mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, he should have been here if he wanted to mention that we had regrets. Come on now.
So likely for the August meeting, if we have one in August, I likely won't be attending.
Okay,
Okay, so.
not sure if we're gonna have a loopy. We probably
I know last like term,
yeah.
we took July and August off. I don't know if that's.
Come on now, we don't wanna have too much.
all
Too much fun. Yeah.
But likely the August one I will be.
Okay, that's fine.
Just-